السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن سيدنا مولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله. أما بعد فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى في القرآن المجيد والفرقان الحميد: أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وما الحياة الدنيا إلا متاع الغرور. وقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم: كن في الدنيا كأنك غريب أو عابر سبيل. صدق الله العظيم وصدق رسوله النبي الكريم ونحن على ذلك من الشاهدين والشاكرين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Respected brothers and sisters, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us with many blessings throughout our lifetime, whether it's in the form of things that we can see or from the world of the unseen. The blessings are innumerable. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created the human being in a way where their fitrah is something that he made the aspects of the dunya very attracting to us. So we're very attracted to things and the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala within the dunya. Whether it's nature, whether it's other insan, whether it's materialistic things, they are attracting to us. And when we realize that the dunya itself is something temporal, and we understand that all of those quote-unquote attracting things are also temporary, then it will allow us to focus on the being that is eternal and that life which is also eternal, the akhirah. And it's for this reason the Prophet ﷺ, he says this hadith, very strange hadith. The word strange is in the hadith as well. He says, "Kun fi dunya ka'annaka gharīb." That he's teaching us the mindset that we as Muslims need to have when it comes to living in the dunya. We all know we have to live in the dunya, and we have to work in the dunya. We have responsibilities, we have burdens that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed upon all of us. Whether you're a recent adult, whether you're a father or a mother, husband or wife, teacher, student, you have burdens, you have responsibilities. And the Prophet ﷺ, he grabbed Abdullah ibn Umar by the shoulder and he told him this statement, that when you're living in the dunya, that live with the mindset that you are a complete stranger, a gharīb. So a gharīb in the Arabic language refers to a person that he has, say, a place, he lives in a community, but he doesn't know anybody, doesn't know anyone, doesn't know the neighbors, doesn't know the stores, doesn't know anything about anyone in that community. So he's kind of like an oddball or a stranger to everybody else in that community. Okay. So you're not necessarily comfortable in that location at that time because you're a stranger. So that's the first group that the Prophet ﷺ was advising us to be like when it comes to having our mindset when it comes to the dunya. That have that mindset that you're not supposed to feel comfortable here. It's not supposed to be like smiling and roses from the time you wake up till the time you go to sleep. You're going to go through some difficulties. That's a given, that's a promise. Or even a category higher than that, Abid al-Sabil. Abid al-Sabil is translated as a wayfarer. Now what does that even mean? That refers to a person who, this person doesn't even have a house. Forget about not knowing the individuals around them. This person, you know how you're driving a car and you're taking a road trip from here to wherever, New York, and you're stopping by at these rest areas. Why are you stopping? You're stopping so you can get some rest. You're stopping so you can get some provisions. And that's about it, and then you move on. That's Abid al-Sabil. That individual who just literally, he just takes a stop at a place just so he can get some sustenance, get some provisions. That's it. So literally he's a wayfarer. He's literally has absolutely no connection to that location whatsoever. Doesn't even have a place there. So that's the mindset that the Prophet ﷺ told us to have when it comes to the dunya. Number one, either as a complete stranger to the dunya, or number two, as a wayfarer. And when Ibn Umar radiallahu anh, when he was told this narration by the Prophet ﷺ, he said a statement himself that إذا أمسيت فلا تنتظر الصباح وإذا أصبحت فلا تنتظر المساء وخذ من صحتك لمرضك ومن حياتك لموتك. That Ibn Umar radiallahu anhuma, he said, when you are good and well in the evening time, don't expect to live until the morning. Don't expect to be alive when the sun comes out. And when you're alive in the morning, you're good and well in the morning, don't expect that you're going to be good and well in the evening. Allah alam what's going to happen in the evening. Nothing's promised. What's promised is right now, with the situation that you're in right now. The breaths that you're taking right now, that's what's given to you at this point. So he made this statement. And then he said, when you're in good health, then make sure you take advantage of it before you get sick. And as long as you're alive, that you make sure you take advantage of those moments before maut comes. Because all of these things, maut, sickness, these things are related to the dunya, and the dunya is temporary, so we don't know how long it's going to last. For some people it might be 1 year, for some people it might be 100 years. But Allah knows. Allah knows. What we know for a fact is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes the Quran, or describes the world itself, the dunya itself. That it's supposed to be, that the job of the dunya is supposed to be, it creates a delusion of enjoyment. Mata'ul ghurur. It's supposed to create that delusion. That's what the dunya is there. It's supposed to test you. Now, you might be thinking, oh, here's this, not connected to the world at all. What is he talking about? We got to work, we got to do these things, we got to provide for our family. How are we going to not be connected to the dunya? No, obviously we be connected to the dunya. We have an aspect of connection to the dunya. But what type of lens do we have when it comes to the dunya? No. Do we just completely cut ourselves out when it comes, oh, this is a dunya, I don't want to be, I don't want to come near it, I don't want to have anything associated with it. I'm just going to be sitting in the masjid. I have a family I need to take care of. Forget about them, I'm just going to spend time in the masjid, mashallah. That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. No. That's not in accordance to the Sharia. You have responsibility, you have burdens Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed upon you, you take care of that. You don't? Okay, fine, mashallah. You want to spend as much time in the masjid, you want to spend as much time doing this, that, then go ahead. You do that. Okay. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He states in Surah Hujurat, إِنَّا خَلَقْنَاكُم مِّن ذَكَرٍ وَأُنثَى يَا أَيُّهَا النَّاسُ إِنَّا خَلَقْنَاكُم مِّن ذَكَرٍ وَأُنثَى وَجَعَلْنَاكُمْ شُعُوبًا وَقَبَائِلَ لِتَعَارَفُوا. ta'aruf. So He's created you males and females. I'm not going to get into that right now. Two genders, males and females. So that you get to know each other, you get to become acquaintances. No. So there's an aspect of communication that's a given, that's going to take place when you're here on the earth. We need to communicate with our surroundings. We need to communicate with those folks around us. And if you look at the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ, what better example do you see than in his life? He would, as you know, spend time individually for his personal ibadah, cut off from society in Hira, right, in the cave of Hira. And then, is that all he would do? Is that all that he would do? He would just spend time there? No, he would go back to the people. He would go back to his spouse. He would go back to his kids. He would spend time with the Sahaba. Okay. And be a means of guidance for them. So we have aspects of personal rectification that we need to take care of, but we also have the public command that has been given to us by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that we have our responsibilities to be here in the dunya as well, to communicate with our fellow insan here as well. That is your job, that is your duty. No. So when people think, I'm able to do much more deeds though, if I just kind of cut myself off from society. What you think of as an ibadah isn't the only type of ibadah that will be accepted in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There are different modes of ibadah. You might not consider taking care of your kids or spending time with your spouse or taking them to a vacation or taking them to go out to eat or whatever the case may be. You might not consider that as anything as an ibadah. But they are your responsibility. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has done taklif upon you with these responsibilities. So you will be rewarded accordingly. And it's actually mentioned in a hadith talking about this aspect of interacting with others. That the Prophet ﷺ said, Al-Muslimu إِذَا كَانَ مُخَالِطَ النَّاسِ وَيَصْبِرُ عَلَىٰ أَذَاهُمْ خَيْرٌ مِّنَ الْمُسْلِمِ الَّذِي لَا يُخَالِطُ النَّاسِ وَلَا يَصْبِرُ عَلَىٰ أَذَاهُمْ. That the Muslim that actually interacts and communicates with people and is patient through that interaction. Literally the hadith mentions their adha, the harm that they cause. Because when we communicate, when we are including other people within our environment, you're going to be bound to have agreements and disagreements. That's going to take place. So when the disagreements occur, when the arguments occur, you show patience during that time, then you will be rewarded. And then you have that in the other group where the Muslim is not communicating and not interacting with anybody else. And he doesn't have to show sabr to their adhar, to their harm, because he's not interacting with them. There's nothing to show sabr with. Guess which group is rewarded more? The first group. Right? The group that interacted with the people. The group that showed patience with the people. That is the group that is going to be rewarded more than the individual who just sits, I'm going to sit back in my office, I'm going to sit back in that ghurfa, in that room, I'm not going to interact with anybody. That's not the group. Yes, you'll be rewarded for the ibadah that you do, no doubt. You'll be rewarded. But don't think for a moment that you are at the same level as that individual who showed patience when it came to the people and interacted with them. Doesn't work like that. Does not work like that. So the believer, the believer is on a constant path of travel. That's why the hadith uses those two terms, عابر السبيل or gharīb, or the other hadith, فطوبى للغرباء, as you all know. that you give glad tidings to those that are strange. Now, we can't go from one extreme to the other extreme. We can't say, oh, mashallah, I'm glad he made this khutbah. Now I've been meaning to buy this car and this house and go on to this vacation and go Disneyland here. No, we can't go from one extreme to the other extreme. You can't completely engross yourself in the dunya either. You need to interact with it, yes. But being completely engrossed in it, no, I'm not telling you to do that. But I'm not telling you to cut yourself off from the dunya either. No. I'll end with one last hadith where we really understand where we place the dunya in our eyes as a Muslim and where we place the akhirah. Prophet ﷺ, he said, من كانت الآخرة همه جعل الله غناه في قلبه وجمع له شمله وأتت الدنيا وهي راغمة ومن كانت الدنيا همه جعل الله فقره بين عينيه وفرق عليه شمله ولم يأته من الدنيا إلا ما قدر له. Anas ibn Malik radiallahu anhu, who spent a lot of time with the Prophet ﷺ from a young age. His mom dropped him off there. Right? Dropped him off, okay. You take care of him. You be in his khidmah. So he is the one that narrates this hadith. He said that whoever makes the akhirah, whoever makes the hereafter their goal in life, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes his heart ghina, makes his heart very rich. Okay. Heart becomes very rich. Okay. There's no holes there. There's no gaps there. Like, alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given me this. You're satisfied with what He has given. And not only that, وَجَمَعَ لَهُ شَمْلًا, He also organizes his affairs. All of his affairs, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes care of that for him. And that world that everybody tries to seek out, what happens? That world is going to be served to him. I'm paraphrasing, but that world is going to be given to him. Whether he wants it or not, that world is going to be given to him. He's not even seeking it out, but the world will be placed right in front of his eyes. However, that individual who makes who makes the world as his primary goal in life, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to place such a poverty in his heart. Poverty doesn't only mean in terms of money. Okay, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to place that poverty within his heart. And all of his affairs will become disorganized and he'll be very confused in his head. And the world that he's sought after so much, that's not going to even come to him. إِلَّا مَا قُدِّرَ لَهُ, except what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has decreed for that individual. Nothing else is going to come. No. Nothing else is going to come. So when the Prophet ﷺ said, وَأَتَتْهُ الدُّنْيَا وَهِيَ رَاغِمَةٌ, yani the dunya is going to come to him in such a debased and degraded, dhalila, right? وَهِيَ dhalila, it's going to come in such a debased way. He wasn't even going after it, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to serve it to him in a silver platter. That's the beauty, that's the ghina, that the individual who has the akhirah as his main goal. That's what's going to happen to him. And that's the sakina and the sukoon, the tranquility that he's going to feel in his heart. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make the akhirah our priority, then the dunya will be served to us in a silver platter. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.